Hello students and welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Shefali Nagpal, Associate Professor at Human Resource Development Center, Bhagat Phool Singh Mahila Vishwavidyalaya, Sonipat. We are beginning with the paper Managing Culture and Diversity, and today we will begin with the module Culture and Society, its introduction, elements and components. On the completion of this module, you would be able to understand the concept and relevance of culture, understand the interplay of culture with society. Let us begin with the introduction to the culture. Culture broadly refers to the set of tradition, customs, values of a society, community, ethnic group or the nation. It can be said that as the norms and social behavior displayed in human societies. It is a central concept in the study of anthropology, which encompasses the range of social behavior displayed and transmitted through the social learning in human societies. The term culture refers to the specific civilization, society or group and its distinguishing characteristics. The introduction to the culture as defined and commented by the various thoughts is as described by B.F. Skinner. A culture is not the behavior of the people living in it. It is it in which they live, contingencies of the social reinforcement which generate and sustain their behavior. Organization culture, on the other hand, refers to the system of the shared meanings, including the language, dress, pattern of behavior, feelings, value system, attitudes, interaction, group norms of the members in the organization. Let us now understand the various definitions of culture. According to E.B. Taylor, culture is a complex whole which include knowledge, belief, art, morals, law, custom and any other capabilities and habit acquired by the man as a member of society. Culture is a way of life, especially the general customs and belief of a particular group of people at a particular time. This is the definition of culture as stated in the Cambridge English Dictionary. According to Harton and Hunt, culture is everything which is socially shared and learned by the members of society. As we can see, the various features and characteristics of the culture in the diagram also, it is learned. It is learned from inside and outside the family, from the organization and many other places. Then it is integrated. Culture is the integration of many components. Culture is transmitted from one to another generation, from one society to another. It is accumulative and accommodative also. It is a state of dynamic equilibrium. It varies from society to society. It is satisfying and gratifying. It is also linked with the society. Let us understand how the culture and society are interrelated. Culture and society are intricately related. A culture consists of the objects of the society, whereas the society consists of the people who share a common culture. Society can be said to be the sum of interactions of people. In today's world of global village, an increasing number of the people interact and share their resources globally, either through the visit or over the social media or through the e-resources. Culture and society are interdependent, both affect each other as well as both are affected by each other. Values, culture and society exist in the way that neither the society nor the culture could exist without each other. This is because a culture represents the belief and practices of a group, while the society represents the people who share these beliefs and practices. The degree of power in the society varies according to the cultural, historical and geographical environments. Social scientists understand culture as a society's norm, beliefs, objects, symbols. Cultural iceberg. Culture is said to be like an iceberg. It is because when we see an iceberg, the visible portion is only the small part of the whole. Almost 2/3 of the iceberg may not be visible. Similarly, the observable characteristics which are visible in the culture like food, dances, music, arts, rituals may only be a small portion of external manifestation of the deeper and the broader component of culture, the complex idea and deeply held preferences and priorities known as attitudes and values. The culture's core value are deeply ingrained and are deep within. The interpretation of our core values become visible in the form of observable behaviors such as the way we react and we behave, the words we use, the way we communicate, the laws we enact, etc. It is to be noted here that the core value of a culture do not change quickly or easily. They are passed from one generation to another through the various influencing factors. The numerous ways in which our culture gets molded may be through the teachings by our own mentors, teachers, parents, opinions and ideas shared by our friends, relatives, from the media, society, and also via the way of our law, system and regulatory authority functions. New as well as old ideas and beliefs, which are our core values, continuously impact our way of seeing and decoding the things and ultimately guides the way we act or behave, that is, which is our observable behavior. Culture iceberg. Let us understand it. Culture is similar to an iceberg. The visual representation is partly visible and majorly submerged. There are things which we can see and observe, but there are also many innate, deeply rooted ideas which we can perhaps understand by analyzing the values, reflecting our core values, understanding the difference between the good and the bad, what's acceptable and unacceptable, and the like, and behave accordingly. The various terminologies that are associated with the culture are: culture bias introduces one group's accepted behavior as valued and distinguishable from another, lesser valued societal group. Next is, numerous such biases exist concerning cultural norms for concept of justice, color, language, proof, evidence, notation, logical validity, taboos, etc. Cultural dissonance refers to the sense of disharmony, confusion or conflict experienced by the people in the midst of change in their cultural environment. The discomfort associated while embracing different culture is referred to as cultural dissonance. As it is shown in the figure that at one place there is organizational core values and on the other side there are the there are stakeholders' experiences, and when there is a dissonance, there is a loss, inefficiency, stagnation, low morale, late adaptation, loss of opportunity, strained leadership, miscommunication and resource wastage. It is broadly defined as adopting the ways of another culture and becoming the part of different society. This is what is called as cultural assimilation. It is a process of assimilating one's own culture to resemble those of the another group. Cultural gap. It is a systematic difference between two cultures which hinders mutual understanding or relations. It broadly refers to mutual misunderstanding and incomprehension arising with people from differing backgrounds and experiences. Cultural shock. It is the anxiety and stress which some people experience when they live in a significantly different cultural and linguistic environment. It is usually experienced when one moves to a cultural environment which is quite different from one's own. Intercultural competence. The ability to communicate effectively and appropriately with people of other cultures. A person who is interculturally competent understands the culture-specific concept of thinking, feeling, perception, etc., while interacting with the people from the foreign cultures. Ethnocentrism. It is a belief system that one's own culture is the best. It is also believes that others should center around your own culture. Power distance. It is the extent to which the less powerful people in the society believe and accept that power is distributed unequally. It is a study of the individual perception of that management or society. Elements or components of the culture. Culture is defined as the beliefs, value system, language, artifacts, etc., which are the part of any society. There are two basic components of culture: material culture, like physical objects, like tools, technology, clothing, artifacts; non-material culture, which includes values, beliefs, symbols, languages, etc. The various elements and the components of culture. The symbols related to it are: every culture has some symbols or gestures which may mean something different for two different cultures. For example, a gesture which include the movements of hand, shaking of hands, etc. Second is language. It is a group of words or ideas having a common meaning which is shared to a social situation. Difference in the languages can make it quite difficult to communicate across different cultures. Beliefs. Beliefs fulfill the spiritual needs of a culture. It speaks about the cultural orientation of a person or group. The whole culture may be based on a certain specific belief system. Next is norms. Norms are the organized and shared ideas regarding what members should do and feel and how this behavior should be regulated. Norms basically form the rules, regulation and morals within the culture. Ritual, work ethics and values, also the components of the culture. Social structure, which influences the economic system, political system, legal system, in addition to the cultural system, is also the component of the culture, which are again related to the many other things like technologically advances. The technological advancement changes the society structure over the time and also the belief system of the society. Artifacts, which constitutes the material object that constitute the society's material culture. Culture and environment. When an organization fails to change within the changing environment, it leads itself towards a path of entropy. Entropy is a principle which states that everything that is organized will break down and run down unless it is maintained. Thus, organizational renewal is an approach to prevent the corporate entropy. Organization renewal may be defined as an ongoing process of building innovation and adaptation into the organization according to the changing requirement of the environment. This results into a very adaptive culture as well as fosters a flexible culture yet unique one, which leads to organizational effectiveness. Both stability and adaptation are essential to continued survival and its growth. The organization culture should foster stability with adaptation, almost a state of dynamic equilibrium. An organization that operates in a mature field with a stable product and relatively few competitors need a different adaptive orientation than a firm operating in a hyper-turbulent environment with numerous competitors. Thus, the organizational culture of the organizations in these two varying environments ought to be different. Figure 8 shows a model of adaptive orientation in an organization, which speaks a lot about the cultural differences in the organization in these varying environments. Model of adaptive orientation in organization. As we can see in this 2x2 matrix, where on the one side is from stability to hyperturbulent is the environmental stability, and on the x-axis is adaptive orientation, which is reflected from high to low. When it is stable and high, it is satisfying. When it is high, adaptive orientation, but there is hyperturbulence, then it is renewing transformational. When the another matrix is where the adaptive orientation is low and there is a stable environmental factors, it is sluggish thermostat. But when both are adaptive, that is adaptive orientation is low and hyperturbulent is more, then it is reactive. Sluggish thermostat management. Low adaptation, stable environment. The organization culture shows the following attribute under this matrix: low risk taking abilities, traditional and formalized work procedure, centralized structure, low empowerment and delegation. Satisficing management, another quadrant which shows the high adaptation and stable environment. The organization culture under such shows the various attributes like stable environment, high on adaptation, hence satisfactory management, adequate and average, planning and decision making, concentrated at the top, that means it is more centralized. Good strategies are adopted as there is low pressure from the external work environment. Another quadrant is low adaptation, hyperturbulent environment, which is reactive management. It shows the following attributes: there is a dynamic environment and low adaptation, reacting after the condition change and after others expose the problem. Short-term problem solving strategies, crisis type of adaptation is there, usually take the drastic corrective measures which do not prove to be healthy in long run, replacement of the key people and hasty reorganization. Another quadrant is high adaptation, hyperturbulent environment, which is renewing or transformation management. The organization shows the following attributes: dynamic environment with high adaptation. It deals with the future condition before the conditions occur, that is a proactive approach under such conditions. Faster developing new ideas and more participative. The organization possesses the requisite abilities like technology, infrastructure, resources, etc. to be able to adapt to the changes. Now students, let us summarize what we have studied in this module. Culture is defined as the beliefs, value system, language, artifacts, etc., which are the part of any society. Culture forms the society. Both are interdependent, yet both are different. The major highlights of this chapter has been to give an orientation to tend to the various elements, components and terminologies related to the culture. Cultural iceberg, displaying observable and unobservable or hidden aspect that help to orient how culture evolves and get displayed. That is all. Thank you.